Welcome back, or welcome to Mining the Comments. This week we'll discuss how to break the pattern of thoughts. So this week's question comes from, we'll just refer to this person as MH. At night, I feel like I get sucked into thoughts. I can't just let them pass. How do I make the change from diving into thoughts to just observing? I feel like I dive into them and drown. Example, harmless thought would pop up such as, I wonder what time I should leave for my doctor's tomorrow. And instead of just letting that pass, I get sucked in and start going down the rabbit hole. Well, if I leave at this time, then I won't have enough time. And if I leave too early, then maybe I'll be sitting there too long and wonder what my test results are going to be, etc. I can't win. The thought quickly turns into deep thinking and goes on for what feels like forever and keeps me awake for so long. I can't help but latch on, and I don't know how to sit back and let them go. I don't know why there's a comma there. Anyways, so MH, thank you so much for your question. I appreciate it, because I think we can apply this to so many of our questions that we're dealing with or struggling with when it comes to insomnia. I'll say the first thought, the first section that I was reading seemed like the question was feeling very helpless, powerless, right? So let's go back to the question. So I feel like I get sucked into thoughts, minding my own business, and I get sucked in. I feel powerless. I can't just let them pass. Why not? Well, how do I make a change from diving into thoughts to just observing? Well, whenever we have any patterns, habits, tendencies, whatever that is, we tend to repeat it over and over again. But the moment we recognize it, we recognize what's happening, what we're doing, it now transitions, or it now changes to being a pattern or a habit to us actually choosing. And that feels empowering. So I'm choosing to allow this pattern to continue. So what if we looked at this again, right? Just the first part. At night, I feel like I get sucked into thoughts. Okay. Thoughts are just thoughts. They're just going to pop up. There's nothing we can really do. But the description of feeling sucked into it can make us feel very helpless. What if we reframed it and said, something, it's interesting. Sometimes these thoughts come into mind and I can't let them pass. Well, why can't I let them pass? Because I'm grabbing onto them. Why am I grabbing onto them? Well, because they feel scary, or I want to dig in a little deeper. But in reality, what am I doing? I'm actually grabbing these thoughts. And I don't want to let them pass. We're choosing to do that. Now, I'm not criticizing or blaming, because this is difficult to do. But we can let them go. We can let them pass. We can let them just be. But I think sometimes the thoughts can be scary, can be difficult. And so we grab onto them. And it's like, I don't want to let them pass. I want to kind of dissect it and look at it. So how do I make the change from diving into thoughts to just observing them? Choice. So we can choose what we do with these thoughts. We're always in a position of choosing. And so what we can't do is choose all our thoughts that pass by us. So whatever thought pops up, we can choose to grab onto it, or we can choose to let it go. And let's see, it says, how do I make the change from diving into thoughts to just observing them? Observing them. What would that look like? What would that feel like? And maybe we've been doing this for so long, it's hard to understand what it looks like. So what if you and I were standing on the middle of the road, maybe on a safe part of the road, right on the, by the sidewalk or whatever, and we're watching cars go by. We don't have to jump onto a car and grab onto it. We can just watch it and let it go by. What would that feel like? See, the difference in these thinking is that we allow ourselves to engage in these thoughts and think that we are helpless, that we're unable to let them be. But it's something new. It's uncomfortable because we really don't know, or we haven't done it before. But in reality, this is really kind of important to look at other examples when we can watch things and allow them to be. Maybe go outside and look at clouds. Now, of course, we're not able to grab onto a cloud, but we can stare at it, focus, and track it if we need to, or we can just let it move. So whenever we're dealing with something very difficult at first, whenever we're dealing with something like, I'm very engaged in this, I don't know how to let it go, think of something small. Think of something like an easy way to practice this habit, whether it's cars going by, whether it's clouds moving, or whatever it is. What would it feel like to just be an observer of things? But remember, anytime we are in a position where we can't control something, it can feel so helpless. It can feel so difficult. But in reality, we are truly always in control when it comes to what we do with the thoughts, not the thoughts themselves. So let's go a little further. It says, for example, harmless thoughts that pop up, such as, I wonder what time I should leave for my doctor's tomorrow. Instead of just letting that pass, I get sucked in and start going down the rabbit hole. All right. Well, if I leave at this time, I won't have enough time. And if I leave too early, then maybe I'll be sitting there too long and wonder what my test results are going to be like. So there's no winning in these options, right? So somehow we have to magically figure out how to time things perfectly. We can't control the traffic. But once again, what can we control? We can control when we leave. We can leave early. And when we get there, we don't have to think about our test results. You know why? Because we're going to see our test results soon enough. And then maybe when the test results come back, maybe we can choose to then think about it. But until then, we don't have to think about it. Really. So all these catastrophizing of, am I going to get stuck in traffic and be late? If I get there early, I'm going to be thinking about these test results, is really creating and catastrophizing this difficult situation where there's no winning. But in reality, we can reframe things and move away from the things that we cannot control to things that we can control. I can control, again, like I said, to leave early. And if I get there early, maybe I can go for a walk. Maybe if I start thinking about the lab results, what's the point? It's really not helpful. I'm allowing these thoughts to pass and I engage in them. And think about this, you're already thinking about potentially thinking about your lab results the night before. But there's no way to get these answers. And so is this helpful? No. Recognize that we are choosing to engage with these thoughts. So if we can take a softer approach and focus on the things that we can actually control in the moment, right here and now, we can really start to learn to let go of all the things that come our way that we don't have to worry about until we're facing it. So what if we leave early and we're stuck in traffic? Well, let's figure out how to approach it or deal with it when it actually happens. If we get there early, maybe we can do something else, maybe make a phone call. But see how these thoughts, you dive in and you feel like what was the expression? Can dive into thoughts, observe. I feel like I dive into them and drown. We are choosing to dive into them. And then we can feel helpless and feel like we're drowning, when in reality, we can just allow them to be. This is such a difficult thing at first to practice, but really once we start understanding that we're choosing this, it can be very empowering. I've used this example before, where at nights people think about or ask, what should I think about? Should I think about calming, relaxing things to help me sleep? No, you don't have to think about that, because that's an effort. We can allow thoughts to pass, whatever the thought, because if we see any thoughts as dangerous or a threat or so engaging that we can feel like we're drowning, we're choosing to do that. You have a lot more power in you than we think. And maybe in these thoughts that can be or feel difficult, maybe if we reframe these things in a way that we don't have to do anything about it until the opportunity or until it actually arises, we may be worrying and thinking about things that may never come. What if you get up, leave a little early, there's no traffic, you get there a little early, you get a phone call from a friend, and you talk until it's time for you to go to your appointment. And then you go and you get the lab results. And the lab results say, you're the healthiest human being on the face of this earth. You're amazing. You have already catastrophized and thought about all these things that don't exist. The brain is going to catastrophize and work and think of worst case scenarios. Why? Because it wants to protect you. Once we understand that this is what happens, then we can just understand that we really don't have to do anything. The idea of thinking about the weather or traffic or lab results or anything that haven't happened yet is just putting so much weight and making you carry so much stress that doesn't even exist. It's not even real. And so why carry all that unnecessary weight? You know, we struggle so much more in our imagination than in our reality. And I believe that's a quote from, I think it's Seneca. I'll look it up, I guess. Anyways, you can correct me on the comments below. But what's happening in this question is we are thinking of gloom and doom, the worst case scenario, when really, why don't we think about the moment right now? In this case, let's say you're in bed, you're at home, it's nighttime. We are safe. There isn't any thoughts that can come across our mind that can put us in danger or be a threat to us. And so how wonderful to recognize that at this moment, we're safe. We have nothing to worry about. So anyways, I hope this was helpful. I hope this can kind of help you move through any thoughts that you have, because the truth is we are always in control. We're always able to choose how we respond. And the great thing about it is we don't have to think about or try to control our thoughts as they come up. It's not the thoughts that's the danger or the threat or the problem. It's the grabbing on, thinking, and digging in that really creates a struggle. Well, that's all for this week. Please post any questions or comments that you have, and I will be back next week. Take care. Have a good one.
Hi, it's me, Coach Daniel, and I hope you are feeling excited right now because you're so close to the finish line of insomnia. And if you found that aha moment you've been looking for in this video, please share it with the world. Because insomnia can be such a lonely and isolating place before you find our community. Speaking of which, if you would like some more personalized support on your journey, then head over to thesleepcoachschool.com. We have free and paid courses available with certified sleep coaches who have seen the worst of insomnia, left the struggle, and now are ready to help you. If you decide to join, we look forward to seeing you on the other side.